Meta leading, meta teaching, and meta learning. It is profound, messy, impacting, unforgettable, and it's about making learning epic. This is what meta learning does, but what is it? This has been an ultra fun one to explore. Meta starts for me in the gaming world. Meta, most effective tactic available. Meta gaming needs this, and so does meta leading, learning, and teaching. When you talk to a kid about meta, they'll say, everyone uses this one strategy because it's meta. And when you ask for a translation, what that means is it's tried, it's reliable, it's the best strategy, and we know it works. So let's learn from gaming and get into meta. Meta means beyond, after, deeper, better. It is more comprehensive. It's about transcending the average, the norm. For example, it's about interrogating data about data, going deep in understanding, and then teaching about teaching. For teachers and learners, it's learning about learning, learning to lead about leading. It is a process of understanding, analysing, and measuring. It enables the leader, the teacher, or the learner to go beyond what they expect. It's creating new learning, creating new thinking, and getting meta results. Remember, most effective tactic available. So, taking a gaming strategy, meta, how do we apply this to teaching and learning and leading? Do we really take the time to understand our impact as leaders, as learners and teachers, so we can see results at a meta level? Let's break it down and understand where meta learning comes from. We've heard of metacognition. That's the first part of it, metacognition, thinking about thinking. Metacognition plus mindset, the belief that ability can be developed. Metacognition plus mindset equals meta-learning. Thinking about thinking and believing that we have the ability to be developed. Meta-learning is achieving learning that goes beyond what we ever expected to learn, breaking the glass ceiling. It begins with teachers going really, really deep into how students learn, understanding what learning is, analysing the impact of strategies on learning with data across multiple data points. It means to draw deep understandings of teaching practice so teachers can teach in a way that really works at a high level every time. Do we really pull our teaching apart and look at how we teach? Do we really know how students learn and how our teaching impacts on them? How our teaching connects with the learner? Do we analyse our teaching, or leading for that matter, as a science and approaching it like a math formula? Do I know how to use data to work out my impact? John Hattie offers us this with his effect size, that formula. Average of post-assessment minus average of pre-assessment divided by the average standard deviation. It really isn't that bad. I'll give you a hint. Get your data into Excel and the formulas will do it for you. Am I prepared to go this deep to learn and then to apply this to my teaching, to my learning and to my leading? Do you have a system that teaches teachers about teaching and systems that teach leaders about leading? The outcome is that we have teaching practice that is consciously guided by thinking, reflection, data, and knowledge. We all talk about deliberate acts of teaching, but this is consciously guided by data, thinking, reflection, knowledge. Deliberate acts of teaching leads to meta-pedagogy. More than simply inspiring a teacher to be more effective, meta-teaching comes from science and deep understanding. This in turn builds capacity and, more importantly, efficacy. The confidence to know that what I am doing is right and I am good at it. Meta teaching requires really a three-pronged approach. The deep analysis of data, Hattie, the effect size, lesson study, and meta learning. So Hattie, go back to that formula and analyse your data. Remember that an effect size of 0.40 is the average impact of learning over a year, making average progress with or without a very average teacher. So your results need to be batting bigger than 0.4. Then get your team into lesson study, that lesson scrutiny. I planned this lesson, I tried it, I observed it, and I analysed it. This process is about working out the formula of best teaching. It's looking for macro patterns. Look at teacher efficacy. Go back to that session that we had about that. Planning a lesson collectively. Observe the lesson collectively. Then refine, replan the lesson and get someone else to reteach it until everyone else in the team has taught that lesson and you have now got a meta lesson. Rework this until collectively you all have mastery. Then meta learning as a student is about expecting more of myself, really understanding my learning and how I learn. My data, my strengths, my incremental next steps. Next steps not only in knowledge, but more importantly in the process of learning. Do I know how to learn? Has anyone ever taught me? As a learner, I must take control of my learning, some autonomy there. Teach me to understand my learning, to reflect on my learning, and, with support, know my next steps and act on them. So meta learning is achieved across all dimensions of pedagogy. We can't say that this is achieved through inquiry or problem-based learning. Problem-based learning, inquiry, plan-do review cycles, appreciative inquiry are all excellent pathways that help me as a learner to understand how my learning works. But it is more than that. It is like phonics without word study and learning of sight words, high frequency words, and comprehension will not teach us to read exceptionally. The whole package does. Just as technology supports learning, learning needs practicals, experiences, discussions, and errors. It needs rote learning, peer, group, and individual work. Meta learning requires an extensive toolkit of teaching and learning strategies. It is achieved when the right tools are used at the right time for the right student. There is no one way to teach, but there is a right way to teach, with reflection, analysis, data, knowing your what and knowing your why and knowing your impact. So how do you apply this to leadership? Meta leadership. As leaders studying leading, get feedback on your work frequently, quality feedback, and then do something with it. Learn about leadership, teach leadership, build leadership. As the leader, teach meta teaching. Understand meta, using the most effective tactic available. Apply meta. Build a culture of meta. Be daring and expect more. So really, in summary, to make meta learning work, students, teachers and leaders require these essential tools. There has to be a vision and goals. Data, communication and collaboration, decision making, critical thinking and creativity, time management, accountability, perseverance and resilience, a culture of analysis, reflection, data, deprivatization, a daring, results-driven culture. Meta, in the words of Buzz Lightyear, is the pursuit of infinity and beyond. We hear it. There are no limits.